I'll be discussing my experience at Cathedral as a student who not just came in a couple of months late, but also moved in from a different country. Before I actually got the feel of being at Cathedral, my choice was very largely influenced by the availability of the subjects that Cathedral had to offer. Amongst my subjects, I take environmental systems and societies, global politics, and French. And these are often seen as non-preferred or more uncommon subjects, so that meant that a lot of schools in the city simply did not offer them. When I saw these subjects on the list of subjects that Cathedral had to offer, complementing others like chemistry, physics, and economics that are seen as more common, I was able to recognize that Cathedral does not feel the need to compromise on certain subjects in order to allow for the teaching of the rest. And because it was able to incorporate all forms of subjects, it showed this deeper understanding of the importance of each individual subject and the value that these subjects can have for a student, thus allowing us to kind of explore these subjects as well and allowing that principle of not seeing a subject as secondary or subsidiary to reflect in everyday teaching. After I arrived at Cathedral, I was met by extremely accommodating teachers and a tight-knit batch because the IB is usually between 40 to 50 people, which allows for extremely easy integration, and it does allow us to kind of know each other at a base level, if not form deeper friendships with certain people within the batch. Another thing that was probably a very positive form of culture shock was the wide range of extracurriculars and the house and the school spirit that existed at Cathedral. So, because we take part in the IBN, we're often told that we are part of a very rigorous curriculum. It may be more difficult for us to do all these extracurricular activities, but I do see a lot of my peers still being able to manage their schedules in a way where they are balancing academics with extracurriculars in a very perfect manner. And because of these opportunities that are provided to students, I've also seen that very often extracurriculars can be meshed with the subject matter. I took part in an environmental campaign at school where we basically informed the school of each individual person's contribution to global warming and kind of their carbon footprints. So this in turn not only taught me about environmental systems and societies and kind of studying that as a subject and subject matter within it, but it also connected it to this extracurricular activity and this campaign that we were able to initiate within school. And it once again is a direct reflection of the several opportunities of not just partaking in activities, but also initiating them and kind of bringing the school community together through the spirit of, doing beyond just academics. As a student of IB and as someone who came from an IB school myself, I did note that Cathedral stays extremely true to the IB curriculum, and it made it a lot easier for me to fit in and blend into the subject matter and the way of teaching, because Cathedral is largely able to embody the ideas that the IB stands for. There is a perfect mix of independence and guidance as is mandated by the IB, which is something very special, I think, to Cathedral, because it's very difficult to find that mix between independence and guidance and where the line must be drawn between giving a child too much freedom or completely bossing them into making their decisions. At Cathedral, we always have the opportunity to choose what we want to do, how we want to do it, what we're studying, and exactly how we want to go about that. But at no point do we feel as if we're alone in this decision-making process, and we're constantly being guided by responsible adults who are our teachers and who do try to ensure that we are making the best possible decisions that there are for us by laying down their ideas and thoughts and informing us to the best of their abilities, thus leading to us kind of being able to then take more informed decisions regarding our own future, not just within the IB, but also within us, our kind of development as learners or even beyond school years. So there is also a very dynamic way of learning beyond just treating us as independent adults, and that goes into the kind of norm that has been created between uniquely structured classes where we are taught in forms of presentations, in forms of documentaries and videos, in forms of debates and discussions. And this space for discussions in class amongst peers and with teachers develops our ability to kind of think independently and think critically, and also just be able to recognize the side of different arguments that often come through in the ideas that our teachers and our peers put forward. This allows for just more rounded understanding of general phenomenon and concepts, which is something that textbooks often fail to do. There's this detachment that occurs when we are sitting there learning simply from a textbook, because we do not see the implications of the concepts that are written down. The IB, especially at Cathedral, is able to create a global awareness and an interdisciplinary approach to each subject, where we see the implications of what we learn on our daily lives, on the world that surrounds us, on our everyday and on our life environment basically, and that allows the subject matter to have a lot of more personal importance to us. And because of this interconnectedness between subjects, we recognize that our subject packages are all deeply connected, and no subject stands alone and is often accompanied by or complemented by different subjects. Another example of the global awareness is simply legislations being passed in perhaps 1 or 2 weeks before, and within time we are being taught about these legislations in our everyday classes, which shows the relevance of everyday world events onto what we study. And that's once again extremely important in us recognizing the value of our subject and the value of the content that we learn. One embodiment of this interdisciplinary approach and global awareness to teaching is theory of knowledge, or TOK, where teachers are likely to be from many different subjects, and so they're able to bring in their individual perspectives while creating an interdisciplinary mid-ground for us to learn from. And within TOK, we develop skills like using our own knowledge and looking at subjects, topics, and the world through an extremely unfiltered lens. And it's beyond just any other philosophy class, because it makes us aware of our own assumptions in daily life and the biases that we hold without recognizing that we hold them. And by kind of then understanding that we do these things, we're able to thus better understand the world around us and be able to differentiate between what is right, what is wrong, how we understand things, and the biases that exist in different concepts, not just by those people that understand and accept the biases and the concepts, but also by the creators of it. Lastly, we have the extended essay, which once again is an embodiment of that independence and guidance and the mixture that Cathedral is able to create, where we are given the choice of topic and the freedom to choose that topic and that subject. But throughout the 2-year course, we are constantly guided by the teachers, and we are told about parts where we could expand, parts where we could narrow down, and that eventually helps us to create this more well-rounded thesis. So all of this said, the program in Cathedral is extremely rigorous, and it is expected that we perform excellently with constant effort requirements from our teachers and from the curriculum. And what I've noted, that any slacking off during any point of time can have several adverse effects on kind of what we produce later and what we're able to do later. But Cathedral, while being rigorous, is able to ensure that we develop not just our understandings of subjects, but we develop as learners and as individuals, and carry on values of thinking skills and understanding skills throughout life, and make sure that those are then relevant to whatever we do as people.